Hello Stampers, it's Christine from Christine's Stamping Spot. Happy Monday. I hope you're all having a fantastic start to your week. So today I'm going to focus on this Inspired Thoughts stamp set, but more so on the coordinating dies. So these are the dies. They are called the Inspiring Canopy Dies, I believe. Now you can find this bundle in the current catalog here on page 52. So it has some really nice greetings in it, even some for Christmas. And I do recall that I did use some of these dies and greetings for a Christmas card that I did this year. And here you can purchase it as a bundle. Now, looking at the retired list, it has a couple of asterisks beside it, which means they're sort of configuring this bundle. So from what I can tell from the retiring list, the stamp set itself is not being retired because it's not on the list individually. However, the dies are retiring. So they are listed as 20% off, which is a great deal. But it looks like the stamp set is not on there, so perhaps it may get carried over is my guess. So we are going to kind of focus on these dies because I wanted to show you a couple of different projects that you can use these dies for, and they are really, really quite beautiful. And we are also going to use the coordinating designer paper, which is also being retired, and it is called Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. This is also retiring from our current catalog, so I can quickly just show you some of the patterns. So you have some beautiful green images. This one would be great just as some card bases. You can cut it in half and then cut it into your panels, and you've got your background all ready to go. You've got some nice sort of fall colors in here. You've got some more greenery. And then I have some partial pieces. This one I clearly used quite a bit of at Christmas time because I love the blues in there. And then we've got some other bright sort of foliage here. And on the reverse, you've got some more leafage, some green, just some plain sort of marble look, beautiful sky pattern, some more sort of muted green trees, and some nice sort of hardwood, which would make for a nice background as well. So this is also discontinuing if you are interested in getting some more designer series paper. Okay, so the card we are making today is this one. So it does primarily focus on the dies. This greeting is from the stamp set, I believe, yes. So we're going to kind of just focus on how we put this together using some of the dies. Okay, so the color palette, I did, of course, a bunch of pre-cutting because I wanted to save some time here today. So our base is 8.5 by 5.5, and I will post all these measurements. So this will be our base, and we're going to do sort of a landscape orientation with this card. Oh, looks like I kind of was not very good in my cutting of this base. Maybe I should go grab another one. One moment, please. These are the little hiccups we have when we do videos. You think you're all prepared, so let me just quickly cut another base because that will drive me crazy. It is not even. So 5.5. Hopefully that one will be better. So let's check this out. Yes, that seems to line up much better. Sometimes if your paper isn't quite flush with the edge, that's what will happen. Okay, so we have our base. I'm just going to set this aside for a minute, and then we're going to focus on this blue background. So I made my own background using balmy blue ink and a blending brush. Now, if you didn't want to be bothered with that, you could just use some balmy blue cardstock, or you could use one of these this beautiful sheet here from the designer pack, which has some nice clouds. You could just use that as a background in there too. That would work just as well. But I'm going to just sort of sponge my background here with balmy blue. Or you could use Pool Party if you wanted. That would also make a nice background. So I'm just going to ink up my brush and just start off and then just go over top. And so you can add as little or as much ink as you like to make your background. And I don't necessarily have to go all the way to the bottom because I do have this green grass that's going to cover. So go a little ways down just to be safe, or you could do the whole piece if you wanted, just to ensure that you won't have any white spots. Now, I'm not going to fill it in totally because I like it to be a little bit variegated with some of the white kind of showing through here. So you can kind of see it's not an even application of the ink because I wanted it to be a little bit blotchy there for the sky. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to add our greenery. So I did pre-cut that, and what I did in the dies, you've got this long curvy piece here. So what I did was I cut a piece of old olive cardstock. This is, I guess, 5 1/4 by about 2 inches. You could make it whatever size you wanted. And then I just laid the die sort of towards the bottom where I wanted this bottom piece here. I kind of knew how big I wanted that. So I just kind of cut it so it was in 2 pieces with this die. And then this piece is the one I'm going to use in the background, but I'm just going to flip it so that my edges go a little bit different. Okay. Now, if you didn't want this as high, you could certainly trim off a little bit on the bottom, but I'm not too bad with how that looks. Okay, so that's what this die is for. Or if you were doing a Christmas card, you could do this on basic white and make it look like a snowbank, right? Okay, so the first color I'm going to add is, the first piece is this larger one because I want the smaller one to be at the front. So let's just add some adhesive on here. And you're just going to line that up at the bottom of your panel that you just added some ink to. Okay, so that will be our grass. Now before I add this top green, I'm going to add my trees, and then I will cover up the bottom with this. Okay, so for the trees, this is the die that I used. So it's got 4 trees that are connected. And because it is so intricate, I did use adhesive sheets on the back. So when it came out, it looks like this. You can see there's some adhesive sheets back there and a few little pieces we might have to poke out. So I'm just going to try to remove this adhesive sheet. And there's a couple of little pieces in here I'm just going to still poke through. Sometimes they come off with a sheet, sometimes not quite as well. But you just sort of poke out the little bits that you don't want. If you don't get them all, it's not the end of the world, for sure. And it is a little bit sticky, so your fingers might get a little bit sticky. But there are a couple of pieces here I still just want to quickly poke out that didn't come out after running it through the die cut machine. So now I'm not too worried because a lot of these we are going to cover, a lot of these branches, right? So you're not even going to know that these didn't punch through. More towards the bottom, I guess, would be the ones you don't want to show. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'm not going to worry too much about all of those. Okay, so then you're going to just line up, make sure that the top of these trees are lined up on your cardstock here. So your base will run off a little bit. So I'm just going to make sure I get as much of those branches on that I can, and I'm going to put it a little bit. Well, you can place it wherever if you want it a little bit higher or a little bit lower. I think I'll try it about, I'm just thinking where my greenery piece will be, because I want to make sure this brown is covered, and that should work right there. Okay, so I'm going to just sort of put this down and give it a little press, okay, because you've got that adhesive sheet on the back. So just rub your fingers gently over, and I love these adhesive sheets because they're so clean to use and you don't get the glue seeping through. Although I do find I'm starting to use a little bit more of the glue as I go, but okay, so there is that. Now before, I've got a little splotch there. Before I put on our base, well, I guess I could put that on right now, couldn't I? Okay, let's do that. This one, I did want to pop this up a little bit, so I'm going to add a few mini dimensionals and regular dimensionals back here, just to pop this up a little bit and give it a little bit of a different look. You could just lay it down flat. There's nothing wrong with doing that either. And this piece here that sticks out, I'm just going to snip that off with my snips here. So that's off. Okay, and then we can add this. So we're just going to, again, line that up towards the bottom here and cover that. So that little brown strip on the bottom of our trees is now covered. So you have them sort of peeking out of the grass there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is add all of this foliage here on the top. So for that, I did use one of the pieces of designer paper in the package. And the one I used was this one, a very colorful one. Now to cut those out in the dies, you've got these 4 pieces here, these sort of tree topper portions. Okay, so what I did is I just cut a piece of the DSP, like a 2-inch strip, and I laid these all down and I ran it through like 3 times. So I have 3 of each. I thought I'd start with that and see if I had enough to cover. And I wasn't too picky if I had still some of the green peeking through, because trees are like that. They aren't completely always covered with leaves. So these are the pieces. And there are sort of some little pieces that come out through the die cutting, and then there are still some in here that are attached. And if you wanted to add, you know, kind of have them stick out a little bit. Oh, excuse me. You could just sort of poke these through with your, take your pick tool, just, you know, to give the leaves and the toppers a little bit of dimension if you wanted. There is no reason, you know, that you have to do it. And some of these are going to get laid on top of each other anyway, but it's just an option that you can do. Okay, so I have all of these pieces that I've cut. So let's go ahead and try to put these on. And for that, I'm going to try maybe just some glue dots, or even just regular adhesive would probably work. Let's see. Maybe I'll just grab my silicone mat. Excuse my reach there. Okay, this way, then I won't get adhesive all over my work surface here. So I'll just kind of add a little bit here. And then I'm going to start from the bottom or top. I guess it doesn't really matter. Maybe I'll start at the top here. And I'll just start adding this at the top. And you've got different sizes, so you can decide. It's kind of like a puzzle kind of, and you can decide how you would like these to look. And again, I'm letting some of the brown branches peek out through the top, which is totally fine by me. And other shapes. See where we can put them. You could use liquid glue for this too. It's a little bit messier, but it has a great hold to it. Or this paper has a different side, a different coloring on the other side. If you wanted to use that instead, you could. There's a few different options with this designer paper, which is fun. Okay. Ta-da. Put this one maybe down there. And if you find you're short, you know, of branches, you can always just add a couple more or cut out a couple more. And you could definitely make this like a seasonal card, like I said. For Christmas, I did cut out these trees just out of white. And you could also, you know, make these leaves more like, or these toppers out of cardstock. If you cut these out of, you know, some pinks or something, you could have like maybe sort of almost a cherry blossom type of idea going on for spring. And of course for fall, you could use different fall colors. So I think those were probably just enough. I'll just cover that. And there is my leafage. What do you think of that? I kind of like how that looks. And it does have some dimension anyway. They kind of pop up a little bit, right? But if you wanted, like I said, to poke out some of these other little bits, you certainly could to make it pop a little bit more. Okay, so now I think we are ready to put this on our base. So we shall pop it on our espresso. You could change the look of your background. Instead of blue, you know, you could, you know, do that a little bit different too for a different look. I saw some people, you know, sort of make a Halloween type of scrapbook image where they had used, you know, blacks and black trees and more of a mango melody sky, and then they had like some little owls and little pumpkins and things. So you could certainly make that a fun little Halloween addition to a scrapbook page or a card, I suppose. Okay, so now where was my greeting? It is here. So from the stamp set, I used thank you so much, but like I said, there's lots of different greetings in here for different occasions. So I'm just gonna pop these up with some minis here. And pop this on just down here, or you could put it up here too, I suppose, if you wanted. Should I try that? Or just, maybe I'll just leave it here. Okay, I'll put it there. And then last thing, I think we will add a few of our iridescent rhinestone jewels. I'll just add a couple of those. Not that you have to, it looks lovely the way it is. But let's just add a couple, maybe random places just for a little something extra. I suppose if you were doing a fall card and you had some little leaf dies or something, you could, you know, make it look like fallen leaves down on the grass or that sort of thing. So that's always an idea. And there you go. There is your Inspiring Canopy Inspired Thoughts card. I'm not sure what to call that. So that was using these sort of foliage dies as well as the trees. So I just have a couple of two other samples I wanted to show you that I did. This was a sympathy card that I did. I tried to just recreate my own sort of sunset. And I believe I used Daffodil Delight, Pumpkin Pie, Calypso Coral, and Rich Razzleberry to give me the look of that sky. And I cut the trees out of basic black for this one. And this die, I believe, is from the Hippo and Friends dies, and those are also retiring. So those are some fabulous dies in there for different greetings and things. And I just left my trees like that as one solid piece, didn't put any grass or anything. I just sort of meant for it to look like a sunset. So there's that one. And then the last one was this one, which I kind of thought maybe was more of a sunrise. I'm not really sure, sunrise, sunset. I made my own sky. I don't know if you can see the little sort of swirls in there. And that I did just by using our cloud punch. I punched out one of the clouds, and then I just laid it down and sponged around and kept moving it back and forth to give it sort of a clouded image. And I did that background in Pool Party as opposed to the Balmy Blue. And what I did differently here, don't know if you've caught that, is I cut the trees apart. So in the die here, you get 4 trees all connected. So what I did was I cut one of them apart and put it on the left, and left 2 over here, and the other one I can use for a different project. But it just shows you can separate those trees. You don't have to keep them all together. It's just getting your paper snips in there and making a few little cuts. And then I just used that scalloped sort of bordered die that I had showed you to make this sort of hill. And this Have a Beautiful Day is from the very first size stamp set that I think has recently actually been sold out because it's retiring. And then, yeah, I did mention Pool Party, and this is a little bit of Calypso Coral that I sponged in here. So those are the different samples for our Inspiring Canopy card this week. So I hope you had fun with that project. Might give it a try. I do have a host code for April. If you're interested, M6E43V4V, kind of a mouthful. You're welcome to use that at checkout on my website at christineludwig.stampinup.net. You're also welcome to visit me at Facebook, Pinterest, and my YouTube channel, all known as Christine Stamping Spot. And I'd love it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel while you were there. There are lots of other resources on there and videos. And just a reminder, our retiring list is only while supplies last. So there are some products that have already disappeared, but they are all there unless they sell out until May the 2nd. And our new catalog goes into effect on May 3rd. So there are some great discounts, like I mentioned on the dies, they're 20% off. There are some other items up to 50% off. So you're welcome to check that out on the website as well. Okay, so that is all for today. And I hope you have a wonderful week and a wonderful Easter coming up next weekend. I will, I think, still be here next Monday on Easter Monday. With another video for you, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.